I've narrowed down burnout to 4 things. Now, I think burnout's sort of a myth, and there's a video on here about that as well. People don't get burned out when they're doing something that they love to do and that they're having fun at and they're having some success at, for the most part. I mean, anybody can burn out. I burn out at my job sometimes, and then a little bit of break, and I feel good again. So burnout to the point where you're quitting or hating something. I don't see that happening in wrestling. You know, I see this, though. Number one, we burn out or quit because of stress. We don't have the mental tools to handle the emotional anxieties of wrestling, the uncertainties of outcome. There's a lot of uncertainties. You have to figure out the wrestling match after the ref blows the whistle. Sort of like a quarterback. A wrestler and a quarterback are in the same boat. Now, we can have a rough and loose game plan, just like a quarterback can have a play, but once the ball snaps, who knows what's going to happen, right? So get the mental tools. I think our YouTube channel is a great opportunity to get some of the mental tools to handle the stresses and anxiety. Read books. You have time to play video games 100 hours a week, but you don't listen to YouTube. I mean, Cale Sanderson gives his secrets away. Why don't you listen to him? Why don't you listen to an online book, right? Get a book on and listen to it when you're driving in the car. You're sitting, maybe you're playing video games and you're listening to your online book. I got one over there I like. It's called The Mindful Athlete, right? I hired my son a performance coach, right? People say, "Oh, that's expensive." No, the tournaments are expensive. You'll spend $900 on a so-called national tournament, and your kid gets 4 matches and wrestles 13 minutes, and you think you got a bargain because you won a gold medal. Those are a waste. Hire a performance coach, right? Get the tools. Secondly, sometimes we as parents can wear on our kids, not because we're bad dudes, but just because, you know, we really like it and we want our kids to win so bad. Don't talk about wrestling at home. I've got a couple of kids who quit who are now back in wrestling. I just had to tell their dads, hey, the kid doesn't want to talk about wrestling all day. Just like you don't want to talk about work when you come home. Let it go. Your kids probably aren't going to win the Olympics, okay? Let's go ahead and get that straight, right? There's a couple of former Olympic champs who didn't win it again, right? Jake Varner couldn't make the team again because Kyle Snyder beat him. There's a lot of things have to go right. So just relax a little bit. Number 3, kids don't win enough. If your kids aren't winning, they're going to get burned out. They're not burned out. They hate wrestling. They don't want to lose. So get them some tools, right? Find the best trainer, right? My son's doing some things. I found the best trainer online in America. Bought all of his products. Boom. Do it. Just find the best and do it, right? Get some tools. And if you win, you're not going to burn out, okay? Number 4 is weight cutting. The weight cutting is way overdone. It's easier if you know how to do it. And again, I think our YouTube channel pretty much sums it all up. I was eavesdropping on an Olympic champ and I learned how to cut weight. But I was 21 years old already. I was at Oklahoma State and it was like, back then no one taught us, right? So I was eavesdropping and I stole this guy's methods and I started doing some talking and asking, and sure enough, I found weight cutting was way easier. But still, you shouldn't be having your kids cut weight all year long, summer, unless you're going to junior nationals or something in high school. You know, a few times a year when you get to be in middle school and high school, you should cut some weight, all right? But if you're a youth dad and you have your kid cutting 2 or 3 pounds every week for some stupid Pee-wee tournament, that's not right. Don't do it. You know, maybe when they're in middle school, cut 2 or 3 pounds. Maybe if they're a little tubby, lose 4 or 5 or 6 pounds. Your pediatrician would probably think that's a good thing. But the weight cutting, the rampant, it's just overdone, and I would not engage in it, especially at a young age, and especially not for long stretches of time. Once my son hit to be like 7th grade, he lost 3 or 4 pounds. Just the last 3 weeks of season. The rest of the time we wrestled, our weight class are up, right? And then he was fresh that way, okay? So those are the 4 things that cause weight cut, so-called burnout, which is really not burnout. I know what happens is we're always trying to protect our kids. I get so many calls a day, like, well, I was a wrestler, then I burned out. I don't want that to happen to my son. So I'm waiting until he's in 7th grade to start wrestling. It's tough now, right? Did you really burn out? Or did you just lack the tools, or maybe you had some outside influences that caused you to hate wrestling. You hate wrestling. I mean, some people hated it. They hate it to this day. And they're so like, they have so much reservation about getting their kids in wrestling because they have such a bad taste in their mouth about it. So don't be that way. Follow these tips. Good luck.